Hi everyone, welcome back to another gameplay of Infinitode 2. So welcome to the final episode of the Tower Guide series, because in this episode we're gonna take a look at the very last tower that has been added in the last patch, that is Crusher. And until maybe in the future the developers are gonna add more towers or anything more, this is gonna be the very last episode for this series. And as always, I'm going to analyze the main stats, abilities of this tower, how it works, how to best place it, how to best use it. And then at the very end of the video, we're going to also analyze research and endless research. So let's jump here in level 1.1 and let's take a look at this tower. So first of all, the base cost is going to be 175 coins. So it's very expensive. It's the second most expensive tower in the game. Only behind Gauss. And remember guys that I have no more research maxed. That means that the base cost, all the stats, all the abilities are gonna have higher percentages. So just remember that. Now the game description is this one. Catches enemies and damages them before releasing them. Released enemies may avoid further crushers. So out of the 5 general stats, we have range, attack speed, crowd damage, and agility being very low, so only 1 out of 5. Instead, damage is pretty high, 5 out of 5. Effectiveness against enemies, this tower deals 50% more damage to regular, venom, and light enemies. It deals 100% of damage to fast healers and bosses. It deals half damage to strong, armored, icy, and fighters. The main weakness of this tower is the fact that it's not going to be able to target and damage in any way flying enemies, so helis and jets. If we try to place this tower, we can already see that the range is very small. This is the lowest, the smallest range in the whole game. Even like Blast has, even Blast have a larger range than Crusher, and so yeah, this is the smallest range in the game. Then as other stats, we have damage, of course, projectile speed, and duration. So this tower doesn't have attack speed and doesn't have rotation speed. Now the mechanics of this tower are very peculiar, and that's why I'm gonna just spawn here a wave, because the tower is gonna actually launch these claws that are gonna try with this projectile speed, are gonna reach the enemies, and when they can reach them, when they can grab them, they're gonna bring the enemies towards Crusher. So they're gonna remove the enemies from like the path, they're gonna bring them towards the center of the tower, and they're gonna start damaging them. They're gonna damage enemies like every 0.2 seconds, and therefore this damage that you see right here is the damage in 1 second. It can Crusher without any abilities, well, anything, can hold up to 2 enemies inside. So you can see here 2 enemies being grabbed. The other enemies are slowly pushing forward. And now the amount of time that Crusher can actually hold enemies inside and therefore damage them is 7.57 seconds in the case for my stats. So that's how the tower works. So in that way you see more or less the mechanics. Now the special stat of this tower is bonus experience. And the cool thing about this tower is that for every enemy that's being held inside, right, all the other towers, so Crusher included, that are going to be able to damage the enemies during this holding period, are going to be receiving bonus experience. So that's the experience you see right here. And therefore, for each hit, for each kill, all the other towers and Crusher itself are going to receive more experience. And therefore, they're going to be able to level up faster. So it's a very nice upgrade and can make a Crusher a very good supporting tower. Now moving on to the abilities, we have that the first ability is going to increase the damage. The second one is going to increase the capacity, so you can hold 1 more enemy inside, so 3 enemies rather than 2. And then last ability is gonna just increase the bonus experience. Remember, you can choose 2 out of these 3 abilities between level 4 and level 7 of the passive level. Then at level 10, you unlock this new ability that is a certain chance of making the enemies walk backwards, so towards the portal. Normally enemies move from the portal towards your base. In this case, when these procs, the enemies are going to move backwards. They're going to change color, and they're going to deal damage to enemies in the way until they eventually are destroyed. The amount of damage these zombie enemies, I call them like that, so these disoriented enemies, the amount of damage they can do depends on the amount of HP they originally had while they were being forced to walk backwards. So if the enemy had like, I don't know, 50% remaining HP, depending on the amount of HP they had at the beginning, they're going to be dealing a certain amount of that damage. So that's pretty much how it works. And the chance upgrades with the level of the tower, with upgrade level, sorry. So for example, here is level 0. You can see that it's 5.9% in my case. If I upgrade it 1, see here, level 1 upgrade, now it's 6.5. If I upgrade it now 2, it's 7.1. Third is 7.7, and so on. So more upgrade levels increases the chance of disorientation. And this only upgrades with the upgrade level, so not the passive level. So just remember about that. And then lastly, at level 20, you can choose between the ultimate or more power. Remember, power increases all the stats other than range and the special stat. Now, the ultimate of this tower is closely related to level 10 ability. In this case, each disoriented enemy can give a certain amount of coins for each tile they can walk backwards. Remember that tiles for this game are these ones right here, so these squares. So for each tile that the enemies can walk backwards, so for example in this case it would be 1, 2, then 3, and so on, all right? They're gonna give these bonus coins, and they can give up to a maximum of 370% of the enemy's original coin value. So let's make it easy. If the enemy coin or the enemy's original coin value is 100, you can gain a maximum of 370 coins if your zombie enemy can walk backwards enough tiles, and so on. So that's pretty much how it works. And now Crusher is the only tower in the game where if you have already one placed, the next ones that you're gonna place are more expensive. So you can see that if I would like to place another Crusher, its cost is 350. And now another feature of Crusher, remember, is that if the enemies are being held inside for this duration and they're not gonna be killed by other towers or by Crusher itself, so they're released again towards the path, then the chance of these enemies, if you have another Crusher, the chance of these enemies to being caught by that second Crusher is much, much lower. So normally that means that you don't want to have more than 1 or 2 Crushers per game, because otherwise it's going to be pretty much pointless having more than 2, and the enemies are going to just be able to walk backwards no matter what. Remember though that considering the very small range, it's very easy for enemies to get through the first Crusher. So if you have like 2 or 3, you can then keep on grabbing them, and you can keep on halting their advance. So if you're using Crusher for that way, of course you can use like 2, 3, 4, you can use as many as you want. Just remember that the base cost and also the upgrade cost becomes higher depending on how many Crushers are present at the same time. Now, because of the small range, as I said before, you want to always place this tower very close towards the path. So for example, this spot is useless, this one also is useless, so very close towards the path. And now you can use this tower in three main different ways. You can use it to do damage, you can use it as a support tower to give experience to other towers, or you can use it as a support tower, but in this case giving coins. So for example, if you use it to do damage, you can place Crusher pretty close to the beginning. You can just upgrade it, you can go for more damage with the ability. Always go for more capacity, because you can just hold more enemies inside, so this is a must. The other two abilities depend on your usage. So go for increased capacity and go for more damage. Upgrade the Crusher, and in that way you're gonna be dealing a lot of damage to the enemies. The second way is the support Crusher. In this case, you're gonna go for increased capacity, and then with this ability, that is going to increase your bonus experience. And also, you don't want to upgrade it, because remember that each upgrade is going to increase the damage, and the base damage of this tower is pretty high already. So you don't want to upgrade it. You're going to just keep it level 0, and you're going to just build the other towers. I don't know, maybe Tesla, right? That can attack the enemies inside Crusher and can gain that extra bonus experience. So you're going to level up Tesla, but you're not going to level up Crusher. So in that way, you're holding the enemies inside, and you're giving more time for your other towers to like level up and to gain experience. Instead, the third way is to just use Crusher, for example, just placing it right here, right? Very close towards your base, and you use it as a last line of defense. So in case some enemies can sneak past, you can grab them with Crusher, and you can also exploit very nicely the disorientation and also the ultimate, because the enemies can walk a lot of tiles before they can find other enemies. So you can really earn a lot of coins in this way, and therefore you can just go for this other strategy. So remember, in my opinion, like getting 2 Crushers is like the best thing. You can get one at the start and one at the end. So you can use both of these strategies. You can use them at the same time. So, so yeah, these are the main ways how you can use Crushers. So many different scenarios. I'm going to show you right now the scenario where Crusher actually gives experience to other towers. And yes, I'm going to use here, I think, Tesla. So remember that you only gain the bonus experience when the enemies are being held inside and are damaged inside. So if you kill the enemies before, as this Tesla is doing, well, you're not gaining any bonus experience. So that's just unfortunate, but that's how it works. And also Crusher, you can see that it's just getting a little bit of experience, but very, very low. And at the beginning, the enemies have very little HP, but then as the game progresses, they have more and more and more HP. So you can really start seeing more of these bonus experience. So remember, don't upgrade Crusher. You don't want to upgrade it. You're gonna keep it like level 0. And yeah, you can see that now the enemies, by having more HP, now they can't be one shot by Tesla, and therefore they're being brought to the center, to the core of Crusher, and here is where they're actually receiving the damage and when they're giving more bonus experience. I don't know if I can show it to you. I can't yet, but hopefully I will be able to. Yeah, for this first one I think I will be able to. And you actually see an icon up here that says XP, and see here, XP. So these enemies hit and destroyed gave more experience to Tesla and also to Crusher, and it was in this case 72% bonus experience. And of course now I wanna, because I'm using Crusher as a support, I'm gonna go for bonus experience like this. And yeah, so of course the main weakness is the fact that the range is very small and the projectile also is very small. So if you keep it like level 0 like this, slower enemies like these strong enemies can be, you know, grabbed and held inside, but the faster enemies, it's harder. Just remember that as always, you can always combo Crusher or any other tower with freezing, so you can slow down the enemies, so in that way there is a higher chance that you can grab them. And that was a zombie enemy, so that was a disoriented enemy. So that's pretty much it. Of course, if I upgrade now Tesla, it's gonna do more damage to this enemy, so more likely he's not gonna gain that much bonus experience. But anyway, this is just to show you different strategies that you can use. You know, you can use Crusher like this as a main supporting tower. And you can see that I still haven't upgraded Tesla. but still I'm able to, you know, keep on damaging all the enemies. I haven't lost any lives, and here these were the first lives that I lost. So could you see there, those were the zombie enemies, and zombie enemies of course change color and they're gonna move opposite in the opposite direction. So that was one. And of course, if the zombie enemies have very little HP because they were damaged a lot, then also they're gonna do less damage to the other enemies as they walk backwards. So that's always the case. But yeah, that's how it is. So for example, here I could get Crusher like level 2, right? Level 2 also Tesla. I need to adapt. Enemies now have more and more HP, so I need to start doing more damage. But you can see that most enemies here are receiving the XP bonus, at least for like half of the hits. And so Crusher and Tesla are gaining more experience by destroying these enemies. So it's not bad. And of course I can slow down enemies even further with freezing. And yeah, it's just a very nice tower to also keep the enemies in one spot, like because you bring them all closer to Crusher. So even towers, for example, that couldn't reach the enemies can actually reach them because they can reach the Crusher range, right? For example, here, if I would like to place, I don't know, like a sniper maybe here or here, right? It can't reach the enemies up here, but because it can't reach Crusher, it can actually attack them. So remember, as the enemies are being held, they can be attacked, they can be damaged, they can be debuffed, so they can be stunned. Enemies receive full amount of damage as they are being held inside. So yeah, now as I'm gonna now upgrade Crusher just to show you that as you upgrade it, you gain a little bit more of extra range, you gain damage, you gain all the stats other than the special one. And yeah, the upgrades are not very expensive at the beginning. Then the last 3, as always, like level 8, 9, and 10 are quite expensive, but not super expensive. Alright, so and yeah, I'm gonna just level it up now, level 10, so you can see the maximum upgrade level. You can see that the damage is very high. That's why you don't gonna upgrade the Crusher. Like if you wanna give more experience to your other towers, you don't gonna upgrade it very much, because otherwise the base damage is so high that the enemies are gonna be destroyed super quickly, and therefore that's the end of the bonus experience. And then a level 20 in this case, because I'm using Crusher as a support, I think going for more power is just the best, because it increases the duration, the amount of time the enemies are going to be held inside. Going for the ultimate, having Crusher so close towards the portal, it's pretty pointless. But you can also go with this one if you want to have the extra, I don't know, like 15 coins or 20 coins for each zombie enemy. I don't know. But yeah, it just depends on the case. If you use Crusher instead as a last line of defense, instead that would be a lot better to go for the ultimate, because the enemies can walk backwards a lot more. But yeah, that was pretty much the gameplay. I hope that you were able to enjoy it. Now going on through research, as always, as for all the other towers, you can just increase everything through research. And also the abilities down here, you can increase the bonus experience, the damage, the chance of disorientation, and the coins from the ultimate. As you can see, you can increase the capacity, how many enemies are held inside. And the cool thing is that on endless research instead, you can increase the capacity. You can make the Crusher hold up until like up to 8 total enemies. You can see here +5 maximum level. So 8 enemies can be held up inside Crusher, and that's of course a lot better, because you can provide bonus experience to many more enemies at once. And also by being able to hold more enemies, you can have less enemies sneaking past Crusher. And so yeah, overall it becomes much better. Plus of course the fact that you can upgrade everything much higher, so you can have Crusher having much larger range, doing much more damage, costing less, and so on. So it's just very nice. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and see ya. Bye bye.